Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for telling my sister her haircut isn't some big achievement? AITA for pressuring my daughter-in-law to let me help her during her pregnancy? AITA for saying no to my boyfriend's friend moving in. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for telling my sister her haircut isn't some big achievement? My dad died unexpectedly and relatively young. My youngest sister was 3 at the time. Her hair was a lot like his. It's super curly. Because of this, our mom did a lot to maintain it. Growing up, mom would spend hours on my sister's hair, and each morning was dedicated to the two of them in bathroom, with my sister screaming and crying because brushing through it was long and unpleasant. Up until she was 13, mom insisted on washing and styling my sister's hair. She never let her cut it or dye it. When someone suggested getting it trimmed, they were kicked out of the house. I won't lie, mom was controlling at times, but I thought we all knew it was because of grief and memory of our dad. Well, mom died, and the first thing my sister did was get her hair chopped incredibly short and dyed. She sent myself and my siblings a picture of her new haircut, with the caption, "Sharon, our mom, always said I was going to grow my hair down to my butt, not anymore." I thought it was my sister's way of grieving, but now she mentions it a lot, like asking how pissed do I think mom would be if she saw my hair this short. I told her after the 5th comment to stop acting like her haircut was a big achievement. It's not. Millions of people get haircuts, and she should know her hair was important to mom because it reminded her of dad. She said she wasn't supposed to be Sharon's doll or a replacement of their dad. She should have been her own person, and if I can't respect that, she doesn't need me in her life. AITA? YTA. Hun, it wasn't just controlling, your mother was abusive. Torturing a kid like this, for something that's not medical, is absolutely traumatizing. I wasn't allowed to cut my hair until I was in the 1st grade. It was already below my butt. I was a little kid sitting on my own hair. Finally, my father is the one who said if she wants to cut it, she should be allowed to cut it. I went in with greater than 2 feet of growth and came out with a bowl cut, was the only name of a short hair cut I knew. It absolutely was an accomplishment. Huge YTA. So cold and lacking in empathy. YTA. How about some empathy? Your sister was traumatized by your mother, who essentially abused you. She has finally found freedom, and you can't be happy with her. The jealousy just oozes from this post. You see your sister as the golden child. She's a victim. OP was never abused, at least from what we can tell. It was his sister that went through the abuse. OP was and still is blind to the abuse that his sister went through and refuses to acknowledge it. So there's a reason that your mother was immensely controlling about your sister's hair. Why would that make any difference to your sister? You're right, it's no big accomplishment to get a new hairstyle. It's normal as hell. And your sister has been denied that perfectly normal option for her whole life. Give her a F*** break. YTA. YTA, but I can understand why you don't understand. Your sister had a very different childhood that you did. She was abused, and your mother indoctrinated you to think that there was nothing wrong with what she was doing to your sister. Brushing a child's hair is not abusive in isolation. But your mother took it to an excess that definitely was. This wasn't something she had to do for hygiene or maintenance purposes. Deep, daily brushing of curly hair will actually damage it. Preventing her from cutting it to remove the damaged bits is even worse, because that just made the entire mess more prone to tangles, knots, and pain. Your mom wasn't doing your sister any favors. Speaking as a child who had a super sensitive scalp, I'd have rather been spanked every day than have my hair brushed. It was torture. My mother eventually gave up and let me deal with it when I was 6. I grew out of the scalp pain as a teenager, but even brushing my own hair was agony. I eventually settled on finger combing unless there was a really bad tangle. Your sister said your mom treated her like a doll. That's not a healthy or acceptable way to express grief. If you want to dedicate your own hair as a memorial to your dead loved one, that's fine. But parents need to respect the bodily autonomy of their children and teach them how to make good decisions about their bodies and what other people are allowed to do to them. You don't do that by controlling everything about a child's appearance until they're 13 and making them think that they don't deserve to choose what happens to their own body. Your sister called your mom by her name. Children who love their parents don't do that. You might love your mom, but your sister probably doesn't. Your sister is celebrating her final and ultimate freedom from her abuser who tormented and controlled her all her life. I mean this next part in the kindest way possible. I encourage you to find yourself a good therapist and talk through everything your mother did to both your sister and you. You're grieving her, so therapy is a good idea. But you likely have a lot of warped perceptions about how your mother treated you that are not healthy, and you aren't even aware of that fact. You need to do some serious reflection on your childhood, and you need help to do it so someone can help you see what parts were unhealthy and what parts were genuinely good. I grew up in a church where women don't cut their hair. I hated my hair. It went all the way down to my belt and it was thick, heavy, and hot. Pull it up to get it off my neck and I got a headache. Leave it down to prevent headache and get sweaty and tangled. One of the first things I did after leaving home was cut it off and dye it. I chose jet black. I couldn't wait to get away from a false image I'd been forced to portray for so many years. I'm going to say YTA because you likely can't begin to understand what that's like. Having your own hair be a prison. But that doesn't mean you can't be sympathetic and supportive. If you can't be those two things, why would she want you in her life? Was it just me that wasn't allowed long hair unless I took care of it? My mom told me that if I didn't maintain my hair it had to be cut to a manageable length. Soft YTA, it is a big achievement for her. What you described as her childhood is straight up traumatic. Having no agency over your own body to such an extreme degree is bad enough, but it was also saddling her with a huge burden. I miss your dad, so instead of dealing with that grief in healthy ways, you get to represent him for me, and if you fail to do that you will receive my wrath. That is a terrible thing to do to a child. The relief she must feel being able to make decisions about her body, it's clearly life-changing. Honestly, throw her a party, celebrate the shit out of her unburdening herself like that. Then look inwards and see if there are ways you could unburden yourself as well, because I bet you got a few. AITA for pressuring my daughter-in-law to let me help her during her pregnancy? We live in the US. I, F, have 2 kids, Kylie, F28, and Chris, M25, both of them are married. My daughter has 2 kids, M5 and M2. I had helped her though both of her pregnancies as that was something she wanted. I stayed over at her and her husband's house for about a month for both pregnancies. My son got married to a foreign girl, Camila, F24, she's from Latin America. They announced a couple months ago that they're expecting their first baby. Camila has no family here, so we're really her only family in the country. I told her to count on me for whatever she needed with the pregnancy since I know that first pregnancies can be scary if you're alone. She thanked me and sometimes calls me to know if something's normal, or she tells me that she feels X thing and asks if she should go to the doctor and such. She's now close to the 30 weeks now. We celebrated her baby shower last weekend with friends and family. The baby shower was held in my house. After everyone left, my son, her and my daughter's family stayed over to have dinner together. I asked Camila if her mom will come to visit and help her through the delivery and postpartum weeks, to which she said she wasn't going to since her mom works and it's not something that people used to do in Uruguay, her native country, because couples trend to want some alone time after the baby's born there. I told her, that sounds sad, to be all alone. I told her that here is rather common for grandmas to go and help around when a baby's born, that I did it for my daughter like my mom did it for me, and etc. I told her that I could help her if she wants. I can go stay over at her house for a couple weeks before the birth so she can rest. I can cook, do laundry, clean and all those stuff so she doesn't have to. And then I can stay over after the baby is here to continue helping with the house and the baby. She told me it's not necessary since my son will have paternity leave so he can do all of those stuff. I told her that there are some stuff that he will not be able to do either, like helping with postpartum, and that they're both first-time parents so both of them have a lot to learn and it's helpful to have someone who already did it around. My son agreed. He said that's true and that he won't be able to provide the same help and support that another mother can. We continued talking a bit more about that until she said it's okay for me to help. They left after dinner. My daughter stayed a bit over because she wanted to talk to me. She said I was overstepping because Camila was obviously very uncomfortable with me staying over and that will add stress to her. She said I'm not respecting her wishes of having alone time after the birth like she's used to. She also said I basically pressured her into telling me what I wanted to hear. Is she right about all of this? I just want to help them out. YTA. You, this is how we do it. Her, this is how we do it. You, your way is sad and wrong. My way better. Her, we will still do it our way. You, your way won't work. It won't, I say. My way is superior. Son, sure mom, your way has benefits. You, see? My way. My way. Her, fine. Sure. Daughter, voice of reason. She is 100% right. Even if you just want to help out, you were rude, insulting and badgering. What is your son to do here? Turn you down? Turn down the help? Argue against notion that you have special experience? Complete AH. Try to listen to your DIL moving forward. You sound pushy and vaguely xenophobic. A foreign girl. I think it's strictly prejudice against introverted traits. You want privacy? You don't want company? You freak. You owe it to me to be what I call normal. Opie, I can't emphasize strongly enough how much YTA. YTA. Your daughter is correct. When Camila responded to your query about her mom, that was your answer, ESP, considering she added because couples want some alone time after the baby is born. That was her way of saying no thank you, and you proceeded to steamroll her regardless. This is telling actually. I imagine this dismissive and correcting way of speaking to her DIL would extend to other parenting decisions, making OP staying in their home uncomfortable at best. It would not be worth the help. I personally would hate what OP is suggesting. Unless I had a very trusting relationship with the person offering to help, I would hate having someone in my space at my most intimate and venerable moments for so long. OP can help without moving in and interfering with the bonding process. Also, she's letting her son off the hook. He should be helping and parenting from the start. She said no, that should have been the end of it. You absolutely pressured her, and your son helped. YTA. Yeah, what's up with son? He helped make the baby, he can well help with postpartum care. My gosh, we act like men can't care for women's health. My husband helped me with all the postpartum stuff, and my mom popped in to help here and there a few weeks later. YTA. You are absolutely forcing yourself on her. I get you're trying to be helpful, but you should have taken her no thank you as the end of it. They're new parents, yes. But because they are new parents, they deserve the time to get comfortable and figure things out for themselves. Just because your mom moved in with you and you moved in with your daughter doesn't mean you have to do it for your son and daughter-in-law. If you need to do something, ask about bringing a meal over after they are home from the hospital. Ask first. Don't just show up with a casserole. Also, your son can absolutely help with postpartum stuff. If he doesn't, then that's disappointing. If you think your daughter-in-law being home alone with only her husband and their newborn is all alone, then you need to look at the man you raised. They are a family, a unit. Let them be that while they figure things out. Why not call her and have a real convo? Explain that you might have overstepped and want to check in. Explain that your offer of help was exactly that, help for a first-time mom. Ask her what support she wants and listen. Maybe ask her about her family traditions around birth and just listen to her. It sounds like you might have been pushy in this convo, but have a good relationship overall if she's been calling you to ask questions about pregnancy. Any hurt feelings or misunderstandings can be cleared up if you take the time to listen to what she wants and needs. YTA. You bullied your way to get what you wanted, and I hope to God that your DIL finds her spine soon and tells you to back off so her pregnancy experience isn't ruined. It shouldn't be up to the DIL to find her spine. It should absolutely be OP's son's job to protect his wife's boundaries and wishes with his own parents. Help doesn't feel like help if you are crossing boundaries to do so. YTA. Ada for saying no to my boyfriend's friend moving in. Me, 27F, and my boyfriend, 29M, share a 2-bedroom townhouse together. It's small, but good for 2 people just starting. After I got home from work today, my boyfriend lets me know he told his friend it's okay for him to move in until he gets back on his feet. He also let me know he told his friend he didn't have to pay anything towards bills. I currently pay 80% of the bills in the house. I suggested he at least put money towards the groceries, as adding another adult will change the weekly budget. He then lets me know his friend's 4 kids will be coming to stay, mind you, in our small 2-bedroom townhouse, every other weekend. I explained to my boyfriend this greatly impacts our privacy. I explained, as a nurse working 12 to 16 hours days, I like to come home and rest. I also value my home being a quiet place to relax. I also want to add his friend is not homeless, he does have a place with roommates, he just doesn't like them. He also makes more money than I do. So Ada for not wanting him and his kids, part-time, to move into our place. Update: I have read all your comments. I know I'm a horrible people pleaser and my love language is to take care of people, and oftentimes it's taken advantage of. I currently live 5.5 hours away from my family and didn't want them to worry by telling them what was going on. I decided last night to call my sister and mom. I decided it's a blessing he found someone to move in because he has someone to help him pay bills, my mom's words, so I can move out and not feel guilty he could end up homeless. I found a friend to stay with for my 2 weeks I'm going to put in at work, then I'm going to be moving home. My parents are more than happy for me to come back for the time being. At one point it was hard to leave because everything was in my name: hydro, water, internet, everything had to be paid off before I was able to take my name off of these. Believe me, I've tried to leave more than once, but being 5.5 hours away from your friends and family makes it hard to ask for help because you don't want them to worry. My mom and dad are going to help me get everything taken out of my name. I know I'm an adult, but the only other place I rented was all included, so I have no idea how to get my name off of things, but no time like the present to learn. NTA. Your BF wants to have his friends stay but contribute nothing, despite having the means to do so. He also wants the friends' children to stay 2 weekends a month? 4 of them? In a 2-bed house with both rooms occupied? How long before you get thrown out of your room for them, or left to babysit them, feed them? This situation is gonna end in tears and serious fighting. You need to sit your boyfriend down and have a serious discussion about this. He tried to justify it as he would be saving to move into a new place to leave faster. I told him no when he asked, and he said I was being selfish. I feel like I'm putting up my boundaries and wanting my personal space respected. NTA. But why do you let your r/just no SO get away with doing the bare minimum in terms of household contributions and not respecting you? NTA and WTF. Your BF only pays 20% of everything and thinks he can unilaterally decide this? No, just no. Put your foot down and clearly say no. Seriously, it sounds like a joke. I'd be pissed. I don't know how he thinks he's going to afford 100% of everything by driving his sugar mama away. My guess is he thinks his lovin' is irresistible. NTA. NTA. This is absurd. Each detail you've given makes it even more ridiculous. Your boyfriend and his friend need to get a place together. Well, that was my exact thoughts. If my input doesn't matter in the home, then I'll find a new home where my input is the only one. He just made me feel horrible for saying no and being mad about it, so I had to make sure I didn't seem like an AH for saying no. NTA, do not let him move in. And if your BF lets him move in, then you should let your BF know that you will only pay 1/3 of the bills from now on and the rest is between them two. No, if BF tries to move the friend in, they both BF plus his friend need to be thrown out by op. She shouldn't let him move in even if he pays 100% of the bills. Already he has no problem imposing on their privacy for such a small reason. On top of that, he feels free to bring his kids over every weekend. If he pays even a penny towards bills, he's gonna own the place. NTA, and confused as to why you would think you're the arsehole. Obviously, it's nice to help out your friend who's going through a rough patch, but if you're paying 80% of the bills, then it's basically your house. The fact that your boyfriend didn't even think to ask you before telling his friend that he could move in and have his 4 kids stay every weekend is insane. And his friend isn't even going through a rough patch. He could get a motel or something if things are that unbearable at home, or at least offer to pay half your rent since he'd be taking up half the house. Also, if your boyfriend's friend thinks that 1 bedroom in a 2-bedroom townhouse is a suitable place to house his 4 children on a regular basis, then he probably shouldn't have any custody of them. Are they going to sleep on the floor? That's so unfair on those kids. Your boyfriend is an arsehole, and possibly gaslighting you if you honestly think you might be an arsehole for not agreeing to this TBH, and your boyfriend's friend is an arsehole for even considering asking his 4 children to sleep in some random person's small house on the floor on a regular basis. I read through your post history, and I am begging you to cut your losses and leave now. This person is ruining your life and you know it, but you're afraid that he'll be homeless if you break up with him. You're not responsible for him, he is a grown-ass adult. What is the situation with the lease? Whose name is it in and when does it end? People are saying you need to kick them out, but the easier path emo would be if you can get off the lease and let the 2 of them take the place. You'll have to evict them if you want to keep it yourself, and this guy sounds like he would make your life hell if you tried to do that. Find yourself a little 1-bedroom and enjoy your freedom. You pay most of the bills and work 100+ hours per week. I assume you also do chores and take care of meals? Please think about how much cheaper and easier your life would be if you were only taking care of yourself. For this situation, obviously NTA. He told instead of asked because he knew you wouldn't be okay with it. Please don't stay with someone who is so disrespectful. NTA. Your boyfriend just feels so entitled to the resources you provide that the money factor doesn't even faze him. He clearly has no respect for that or your personal space and need to rest. Sounds like he sucks, and I'm sorry. Exactly. How does your BF, who is essentially living there for free, only paying 20% is closer to free than paying his full share, also invite another person to live for free? They got you messed up, OP, stand your ground. And the guy won't even pay for groceries for him and his 5 kids. OP's bills would skyrocket. NTA. 7 people in a 2-bedroom townhouse? And he's not going to contribute to bills? I like to try and help people, but this is ridiculous. Also, how long are they going to stay? 1 month? 6 months? A year? Until he gets back on his feet is a very vague timeline. I would have refused too. It's also very unclear what off his feet apparently means. He does have a place with roommates, he just doesn't like them. He also makes more money than I do. Doesn't sound like a guy who was laid off and dumped by a girlfriend they lived with to me. Isn't there an occupancy limit stated by fire officials? I feel like 7 people in a 2-bedroom might be violating that. Though since the kids are only there, sometimes not sure if that counts. NTA. Read what you typed out and consider if this situation is fair to you. You pay 80% of the bills. What does your BF pay? Why is he offering your home to his bestie 100% and his kids, on weekends, without consulting you? Why did he take this decision without offering to take on those additional costs? Why is he so hellbent on helping his bestie out, when he's not even at risk of being homeless? Are you sure they're just friends? My take would be that OP should the bestie move in and OP should move out. How does he treat you generally, OP? What does he bring to your relationship? He sounds really selfish and awfully entitled to your money. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.